I'm Seth Borenstein. I'm a science writer for the Associated Press. I cover climate, I cover astronomy, I cover earth sciences and disasters. One of the key things is, how would you explain this to your neighbor across the fence who is not a scientist? That's one of the things. You may want to practice that. Explain to me quickly why this is important, and also explain to me why this is legitimate. When you talk to me, remember that I'm not a scientist. I don't know 1/10 of what you know, but I want to know. I want to understand. So if I don't get it at first, I'm going to ask you again in different language. I'm going to use analogies. To me, analogies help explain things. So if you use analogies, it helps me. It also will help you communicate. Well, what interests me is if it's new, if it's totally different, if it is counterintuitive. That's fascinating. But you also have to be, it has to be legitimate. Usually I stay with peer-reviewed journals, especially the first-tier peer-reviewed journals, the Nature, the Science, the PNAS. I think something that is more about how it affects society, how it affects people, not different tools that scientists use. New tools that scientists use aren't that interesting. It's got to be something that would interest the everyday person. I also like quirky stories. Things that are just, they may not be incredibly important in science, but they're the type of things that people will talk about over the breakfast table. And sometimes there is nothing wrong with the stories that are timed to events in our everyday lives. I've done stories on procrastination when it comes up to April 15th and tax deadline. Stories on the science of romance for Valentine's Day. Science of fear for Halloween. You know, you take these, they are ways to take science and explain science on in our everyday lives. There are good reporters, there are bad reporters. There are smart reporters, there are stupid reporters. Just because you've been burned by one doesn't mean we're all the same way. That's sort of the equivalent of a man or a woman who has sworn off love after their first love didn't work out. You learn from it, and then you get back in there and do it again.